Stop desiring. I've said it in my lectures, and it always stopped people cold every time I said it. I said it repeatedly, to rooms full of people who had come to me specifically because they wanted more. More wealth, more love, more freedom, more of whatever the particular thing was that they had been reaching for. People who had read the books, done the practice, held the assumption with genuine sincerity. And I looked at them and said, "Stop desiring." I watched the room absorb that, the confusion, the quiet resistance, the thought forming behind every set of eyes. But that is why I am here. The longing is the point. Without it, there is nothing to assume, nothing to practice, nothing to pursue. Every motivational speaker they had ever listened to told them the opposite. More desire, bigger desire, burning desire, the fuel of achievement, the engine of manifestation. And here I was telling them to stop. They were not wrong, that what they were feeling pointed towards something real. But tonight I am going to show you why they were wrong about which quality of that feeling actually reaches the subconscious, and what to replace it with. Stay with me. When I said stop desiring, I was not asking anyone to become indifferent. I was not teaching detachment in the Eastern sense, the letting go of all preference, the cultivation of equanimity toward outcomes. That is a different teaching for a different purpose. I was making a precise observation about the quality of most people's wanting, and about what that quality, as experienced in the body and in the inner conversation, actually signals to the subconscious to build. Most people desire from the feeling of not having. That is the operative phrase, not the reaching itself, the reaching from the feeling of not having, the longing, the ache, the motivated, sincere, sometimes desperate movement toward a thing whose absence is felt more vividly than its presence could ever be. That quality of desire, felt from the inner state of lack, is not a neutral emotional experience that the subconscious ignores while building from the content of the desire. It is itself a signal, and the signal it delivers is the one embedded in the feeling. I don't have this yet. That is what is planted. Not the desire's content, the desire's felt inner state. And the subconscious, which does not evaluate the fairness of what it receives or compare it to what you intended, builds from that. Positive psychology calls this the wanting-liking gap, the disconnect between what we pursue and what actually produces the result. What I was teaching is the resolution of that gap, not through detachment, but through a precise shift in the ground from which the reaching is felt. Here is the distinction, stated as simply as I know how. There are two kinds of desire. The first is the reaching as lack, the feeling of moving towards something you do not have, the longing, the distance felt as a present reality, the motivated striving of someone who is not yet there. The second is desire as recognition, the feeling of acknowledging something that is already yours in consciousness, the quiet certainty of someone who has identified what belongs to them and is simply waiting for the visible world to catch up with the inner fact. Most people experience only the first. They have never been shown that the second exists, or that it is the only kind that signals the subconscious toward the desired outcome rather than away from it. I called it assumption because the feeling of recognizing what is already yours is indistinguishable from the inside, from the settled certainty of someone who already has it. Not the excitement of imagining it, not the longing of wanting it, the quiet, almost unremarkable knowing, yes, that is mine. The practical test is simple. When you bring your desire to mind, right now, not in a formal practice session, but right now, what arises? Is it the longing, the sense of reaching towards something that exists at a distance? Or is it the knowing, the sense of identifying something that already belongs to you in consciousness? The longing confirms the space between where you are and where the thing exists. The knowing closes it. I know what arises here. You were told that intensity of what you feel is what makes the assumption real. that the more powerfully you feel the desire, the stronger the signal to the subconscious. Intensity of the reaching is not the same as intensity of assumption. One is felt from outside the state, wanting entry. The other is felt from inside it, having arrived. The subconscious does not reward intensity. It receives where you are standing. And where longing stands, however intense, however sincere, is outside the state. That is the signal received. That is what gets built. Now, I know what arises when I say this, and if I do not address it precisely, this teaching becomes a new anxiety rather than a correction, because the wrong version of what I am about to say produces a kind of spiritual performance that is more exhausting than the reaching it was meant to replace. The thought is, I cannot feel recognition for something I do not yet have. I can pretend to feel it. I can try to manufacture it, but I cannot genuinely feel that something is already mine when the visible world clearly shows that it is not. This is the most honest objection in the entire teaching, and it deserves the most honest answer. That sense of recognition is not a feeling you generate about the outer world. It is a feeling that arises from a specific inner state, the ground of someone who understands that consciousness is the cause, and the visible world is the effect. From that ground, the thing desired is already real, already present in consciousness, already the inner fact from which the outer world will be built. The man who plants a seed in spring does not feel the knowing about the harvest because he can see it. He feels it because he knows what he planted. He knows the mechanism, and he knows the sequence is running. The harvest is not yet visible. It is already inevitable. That knowing is not pretending the harvest is here. It is resting in the settled certainty of someone who understands the mechanism, that the planting has been done and the sequence is running. And that certainty is available right now, not after the visible world confirms it, before. Because if you wait for the visible world to confirm it before you feel it, you have reversed the sequence, made the effect the prerequisite for the cause, which is precisely the error that keeps the cause from operating. So here is the instruction, practical, specific, immediately applicable. Do not try to stop the longing. You cannot instruct yourself out of an emotion, and the attempt to suppress it produces exactly the kind of effortful inner monitoring that keeps the wrong state active. Redirect it. Every time you notice the reaching arising, the gap, the sense of not yet having, use it, not as evidence of failure, as a signal, the arrow pointing toward the state. Use it to identify the direction. Then step into the state it is pointing at. The moment the longing arises, ask one question. What would it feel like to know this is already mine? Not to imagine it arriving, to know it is already real, already the inner fact, already the cause the visible world is in the process of expressing. Hold that knowing for even a few seconds, from inside it, rather than addressed to it from outside. That is the beginning of the shift. From the reaching to the knowing, from desire as lack to desire as assumption. This is what every tradition that has studied the relationship between inner state and outer experience has arrived at through different routes. The Stoic, who locates authority in what is within rather than what is without. The mindfulness teacher, who distinguishes between the raw experience and the story of wanting built around it. The identification that the inner ground, not the outer circumstance, is the only jurisdiction available, and the only one that produces the result. Desire is the arrow pointing toward the state. Assumption is the state itself. I gave you the arrow. I taught you to feel the reaching, to identify what it was pointing at, to let it show you the direction. But I always meant for you to arrive. Tonight, notice when the longing arises. Turn it toward the knowing. Use it the way it was always meant to be used, not as a statement of what is absent, but as the identification of what is already yours in consciousness. The arrow knows where it is pointing. Follow it all the way in.